Welcome back to another episode of the Productivity series. As promised, I'm going to share the top 5 Twitter lists you must have on your profile. And I have a bonus tip too. So let's get started. First off is a mute list. This is a must-have ignore list. This can either be a public or a private list. If it's public, ensure to give it a cool name like the techies I adore. Here you must add all the accounts that you're obliged to follow, but for some reason don't want to see their tweets in your feed. Of course, if you don't interact or engage with them much, they'll less likely show up in your feed anyway. If you follow a large number of accounts, curating this kind of a list would take a good deal of time. But once you have it, mass muting people you follow is easier, and it's even beneficial to separate accounts based on the content they share. I highly recommend that you make a mute list, something similar to what I showed you in the previous episode. You can always pin this list or access it from the list menu, so you're not really ignoring their tweets altogether. To learn how to pin a list, do check my previous episodes. Up next is the stalking list. This is an essential private list and strictly not a public list. Now don't get fooled by the name. This is not meant to stalk someone for personal gains, but for professional reasons. So you search profiles of people you really have a purpose to get in touch with, such as for a job requirement or a contract deal, but don't have their contact details on hand, or you don't want to directly make a pitch to them. So you can stalk them for a while without directly following their Twitter accounts, study what they post, how they interact, discover their likes, their dislikes, and simply find a great reason to break the ice and then break it. But be cautious. Don't accidentally make this list public, and even if you do, don't name it the stalking list. You also must have a wooing list. Opposite to the stalking list, this is a public list where you added accounts that you want eventually to follow you. So you interact with them, engage with their tweets, basically do everything to woo them until they start following you, and continue to engage with them even further than that. You also need to have a show-off list. This is simply a list to show off who you really follow on Twitter. Unless you're following a handful of accounts, people won't really be able to see which key people you follow on Twitter until they check your profile in detail. So having a few lists like this will impress those who check your profile, and also they might follow the list. Who knows, they might even follow your profile. And as the name suggests, this one has to be a public list. And last, but definitely not the least, is a quintessential public list. So far the lists I have mentioned are all created by you. But this one has to be a public list which someone else has created so that you can follow it. If you're not sure how to discover and follow a public list, make sure you watch my previous episode. Following public lists not only gets them notified, but it's a great way to discover like-minded people with similar interests. This is also a great way to display your interests and likes. So don't shy away, go follow that quintessential public list that wooed you. And here's a bonus tip. You can name your lists anything you like, such as the secret list, But don't make that mistake. Each time you create a public list or convert a private list into a public list, all the accounts in that list gets a notification. So ensure you have a great name for each of your lists and use this as a way to grow your followers. Get creative and impress others without sounding too needy. So up next, I'll tell you everything about Twitter topics and why Twitter is changing for good. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share my channel with those who you think can benefit from the content. See ya.